When I was growing up, the bush, nature, was just over the backyard, just over the back fence. And it was very easy for me to drop over the edge of the wall that my father had built and just go for a bushwalk. And that's where I wrote a lot of my poetry. It's strange to think that I've left it this long to start recording some of it. So this is a collection of poems that are inspired by being out in the bush. Sweet sounds I'll miss that won't return, the trickle of a waterfall, the bellbirds and the bushland call, a lover's voice for which I yearn. As music dies within my ears, the hum is all that can grow loud, but I can face it tall and proud, and so hold back my silent tears. If I've the courage thus to face a silent future, let life be no more a soundless mystery than when the music I could trace. And let me write the music still, and read the words that I desire, to build upon this inner fire that burns for voice against my will. But if no voice I'll ever hear again, keep pen and paper near. The gentle breeze across late winter plains stirs in my mind old memories of spring, the fields of grain, the gentle falling rains, the sparrows and the gum trees softly sing. But in this cracked and hardened earth the frost is cold against bare feet, the fields are dry and lifeless, trails of hooves where sheep have crossed are dusty, though the sun pales in the sky. The gravel on the wet roads spread about, the black earth on the dry roads worn and thin, the rusty grass and fence wire leave no doubt the rain must come, or we must all give in. The creek runs dry and lifeless past the weir, the sheep are grazing on the last remains of scrub bush. There's no feed to give them here, they'll bar themselves to sleep until it rains. The sun sets on a pink horizon's fate. If rain arrives, the flood will be too late. Man strikes his paths along the ways where nature least expects, and catches her unguarded in the rape of her attire. Although she lays down tracks to follow on, he soon rejects her choices, makes his own, and makes these known with trails of fire. I've seen the valleys emptied of all semblances of life, with watercourses stopped or moved, all conscience set aside. I've seen new trails cut through the virgin forest like a knife, and seen the wilderness die out in native genocide. Man has no thought for those who do not benefit like him from unwarranted destruction of the ancient wonderland. Unless they know the omnivore at work when, at a whim, he burns off homes of animals, will never understand. What part do I play in this wild and rash destructive streak? I reap the spoils, enjoy the good life that such force presents, and mourn the passing of another species of the weak, who fall before man's avalanche of progressive intents. I am no better than the bulldozer that I have attacked, for I have seen the truth, and still I do not care to act. The great red orb sends fire on the world below, blast furnacing the earth, fanned by the swirling winds of burning, dragon breath with a flicker flow, incinerating each tree in turn up the valley, fire unfurling. No safety in the city. Matchstick houses explode before weary firefighters' frustrated faces can sweat, and the flames roll a die on each house along the road as the owners stand by, hose them down with regret. Salty tears won't put out the inferno, few waste them to cry, but the brave face a wave of defeat and a lacking of sleep till they don't have the time left to mourn, barely time then to die, while the fire goes on and those off in the distance may weep. I have breathed in the smoke, and I've choked on the news every night as they show me the way that the burning goes on. But it's not for me to cry, for I've got nothing worldly to lose. The amber daylight and the smoky nights leave me alone. The streets where nothing changes stretch their arms out wide to take me home, down long since ashen roses avenues supposed to be much closer to my heart than any simple streets overhanging lamp-posts' soft fluorescent glow. This is the road I took to get away, and so it leads me freely back towards the start. The crèche that was my childhood, walls of wood on stilts, sits sacred in its grove. Two aging foreign oaks held close by weeds, a token of forgotten other lands. Brick paves the bare patched lawn, saved by the shade from summer sun above, and favoured for its rusty bench. The bird-flecked steps the native boy commands. One barrier, deep fear, that door, a creak from family and memory and everything I left to sort out for itself, but carried in my head instead, no matter how I ran. All shuttered up and lonely is the only home I've known these years for all that I will bring back to the world, that piece of me I would deny, the thoughts that haunt in every man. My tingling fingers reach to touch the flaking paint, the well-worn handle I once knew, then stop in mid-commitment, slow withdraw from all I thought I'd have again. Mind racing through the garden barefoot, scrape against the gate's escape askew, away so far. 10 years, and I have come back to the same old place, with all its pain. No moment's indecision. I was clearly never meant to see with adult eyes the cause of all my wandering, to find one street to call my own sweet paradise. Though the sun was on my face, I knew the winter wind was biting, and I could see all of my feathered friends rise up with little trying. As I watched them sail away, I knew that life could be exciting. I remember the day when I started writing lyrics for flying. I could look out over the valley, still my heart would stand in aching. Though they said the view was good, I know the writer's words were lying. There's a dream up in the sky, and I've no time to spend on waking. There will always be the night for writing lyrics for flying. With my head up in the clouds, I hardly know where I am walking. I can see the world's great richness, but I know that it is dying. I'll just listen to the birds, ignoring anyone who's talking, because they're the inspiration for all these lyrics for flying. I've known the sea song for a long time and listened to each bird, and for every native spirit of the bush I know it's crying. There is magic in their music, and so little of it's heard, and that's why I'm always writing down these lyrics for flying. Now any time I look to the sky, I know the song they're singing, though the chorus is cacophony for all the leads they're vying. There's a harmony and sympathy, with everybody winging, but the one who stands and listens, writing lyrics for flying. The clouds roll in, the final strip of blue wedged in between two bands of grey. I came to you, great river, as I think you know the way to bear my cares away. Your silent flows so deep and wide, your trickle feeders bringing you the news, the wind that rustles through the trees and ruffles you, if you so please. A clearing then, the sun came through and bathed the scurrying reptiles with her love, and they came back once I had passed, and dreamed of burning till they had enough. Then I took to the asphalt trail that cut a scar through bushland like a knife, and knew that I had found man's nature, lined in white, devoid of any life. How many trees, Isus, were nailed together in this mortal sacrifice? How many more will fall before we're sure the spirit of the land won't rise? Hold to that thought. I hear the wind pick up, as if to blow my words away, replacing all we've learnt with things that do not link into our yesterday. The clouds will steal away our only guide, and leave the sky no more in blue, but still the river flows between the disappearing trees, and so I've come to you. I am the heart that beats, I am the voice that speaks a foreign tongue, I am the sand that meets the sea, I am the wave come rushing in, I am the bush that burns, and I'll return until sad songs are sung. I am the one who yearns for freedom underneath my clay for skin. I am the track that leads away then back, I am the river wide. I am the man of needs, I am the one who feeds on innocence, I am the bridge that crosses all the gaps of wisdom kept inside. I am the greatest loss. I am the fear for which there's no defence. I am the soul that struggles with eternity. I am the stone. I am the fool who tugs at fraying edges. I am less sometimes. I am the noise to wake in fright and find I've always been alone. I am the words I make to do my bidding in these tortured rhymes. I am the light, the night, the changing seasons. I am the grass and the trees. I am the raven's flight. I am a dot against the sun, it seems. I am the fall of rain, I am the steam that's caught on summer's breeze. I am the growing stain of darkness that surrounds once pleasant dreams. I am the face of change. I am the prisoner who's never free. I am the thing most strange. I am of you, and you are all of me. Where three will travel, always there's a goal that two will have in mind, and so it is a fork along the golden path of life divides opinion to decision, and, unless someone is left behind, two form a small collusion, so the third dissents or else abides. Three travellers, three friends, had been so long upon the road they knew the dangers of wild animals and bandits, accidents and night. And yet when they upon the split arrived, divided one and two for reasons of their own, or else the cleaving of unspoken spite. Was Winkle who chose badly, disagreed with Trump, turned hopefully to Nash, then found he was alone without the space for backing down. They might have parted friends, to meet again on leaving gracefully, but Winkle went his solitary way, dejected, muddy brown. Still, it was Trump who first began to fear his choice could well be wrong. The rolling hills seemed without end, although the road was clean and wide, like some grand-built deception or a tourist trap, so green, so long. But he could not turn back to join with Winkle. There was still much pride. And Nash would walk regardless of the goal, so long as he could choose the company he kept. He wouldn't change his mind upon a whim. And so he thought in travelling that there was nothing left to lose but meals from empty haversacks and evenings, when the road grows dim. If Winkle ever knew the truth, he'd kept it to himself then, found what started out as dirty work gave way to finer walks on high, with babbling brooks and berry bushes scattered through the firmer ground, to his delight, and so he travelled fast beneath a bright blue sky. And when at last two tired and hungry walkers will rejoin the track that leads them on, it's only if they're lucky they will truly find a friend will wait as Winkle did, a store of victuals in his pack, and just a smile of greeting, never prone to hinting to remind. The path is always free to choose, and easily are made mistakes. Some friends are far too dear to lose to chances when the roadway breaks. We rest our bones where nowhere has a cafe in the middle, and the sun shines on a corner with a table waiting free. I tie my friend against the rail and hope that he will settle while I get myself some caffeine, making sure he can still see. I'll just fill in his bowl with water while the waitress gets quite friendly, and the tail that's rarely steady bangs the chair and sets it shaking, like he cares. He's always ready with his tongue so he can gently thank each old and new acquaintance with my morning tea partaking. Life's relaxing for the moments we spend walking out together through the fields and bush and suburbs in a circle back to home. Weekends hold high expectations, and the question's only whether we will find another paradise for resting while we roam. There's a problem with the order. They've forgotten my sweet pastry. My review will be less kindly, and my time is less well spent. My poor friend is feeling anxious. Can't the staff here act more hasty? It's been ages since our breakfast, and our energy is spent. By the time the plate can get there, I have sipped through all my coffee. I resist his constant stare, pack up his bowl, and we are off. I'd like to show an interest in the landscape that surrounds, the bush that's green to fading and the river turning grey, the solitude of dust that is devoid of nature's sounds. I wish I'd shown an interest. Now I don't know what to say. I know that it's a pity that we lost all we once had. I know there's nothing I can do to bring that beauty back. It fills my heart with phantom rage and makes the tourist sad, but doesn't stop us walking down the same old dirty track. I wish that there was some part of my past I could undo, decision that could be unmade, a lesson to be learned from back before the world forgot, when all this change was new, when we were young and hopeful still, before our futures burned. I'd like to share a story of a world that would be saved if anybody tried to care and never misbehaved. I would have called it quiet in the way the sun had calmed the herd. Their prints across soft ground were fresh and led down in the usual way towards the creek. I followed, knowing nature didn't need my word of entry to this watercourse of wonder where the thirsty lay. Along the high ground all the young and feeble and the slowest waited for the jostling down the slope of churning mud to settle down. At the edge, the larger drank or dabbled in the water, sated, and the biggest bull was bathing in the middle, fit to drown. The highlight of the social season, water surely fit to drink if you can wait on precedents and then survive the slippery slope, the shoving and the bellowing, the heat, the flies, the jammed-in stink that is relief in finding some life when all you've had before is hope. Beneath the shade of one last hardy bush I took a careful seat, and scattered them with one clean shot of death, so that I too can eat. I'm going to change tack now and go back to my wandering times. Some peace found in the middle of the city, past back streets and the crush of the station. A casual walk away brings me neatly to redeveloped wharves and the smell of the ocean. Enough to give pause where residences oversee empty roads and cafes with quiet talk, where luxury bobs on the tide and life is easy for the late morning jog or a dog out for a walk. Soft light over old trees, and the light breeze takes my cares away by degrees, and this is not the place I arrived at or left, but where the soul awakes and grows to stretch a smile on a sleepy face. Tram tracks that defined a way now obsolete remind me how commercial noise is distant still. The city's background hum, it makes the view complete, and I drink deep the atmosphere, you cannot get my fill. I see some vestige yonder in the rise of glass and concrete pressing up and in, but closer, people-friendly streets, blue skies and simple times can mask the distant din. When will this dreaming end, and back to grey? That road to rush hour crush, I do not know the way. This is the perfect place to spend my day, then stay beyond this wharf upon Jones Bay. It's a cool breeze on a hilly outlook that blows me down the path that I took to get a better view of where I'd been. My feet are dry, though a weary brook barred my way directly to this shady nook, and a bird complains, but it remains unseen. Grass carpet laid with patches round the trees cushions me for a seat. Green stains my knees and welcomes my tired feet. I drink the shade that dapples this expanse and slowly frees my mind from cares. A sigh is my release, and I'm in the home that nature made. Spring's nesting means I share the peace awhile with fluttering of wings and hearts, a smile for all the uncommon high on a bough. Let no unnecessary noise defile this moment, or a thought so vile to leave a taint upon perfection now. Then down the other side this hill I'll go, back to some ordinariness below. There's a bustle of suits and tourists around as the buses and ferries and trains join the sound of a samba band playing for coffee. I've found my own place in the sun, and the late runners pound their own beat round the quay, and the seagulls will feed on my crumbs. It's a paper trail nobody needs, but it comes where the street sweeper stops for a read and the homeless and miners all line up to plead. There's a strut to some people that's not in their shoes or the fashion, although it could well make the news. You can tell from the movement the people who choose their own path, who is playing the game, and who lose. Partly cloudy, the spring sun's bare warming my bones, and my ears are not touched by the horns and odd tones of the street, or the jangling insistence of phones as they pass. For all movement, I'm sitting alone, and my time slips away on the breeze at the quay, and the page fills with words, and the pigeons all flee. I hear you as the vines cling longingly to walls of rendered stone, a song across the ages blowing music in from parts unknown, then on, to lead the silence of a lonely soul once you have gone. It's autumn in Koshitsa, and the winds of chilly change are here. I see you as the clouds move greyly, dripping rain spots cross the sky. The warmth of yesterday is drained away, and all the starlings cry. They search for meagre morsels with the harvest. Then at last they fly to warmer climes, till only I will face this weather without cheer. I feel the tickling breeze, the freezing droplets falling on my skin, the eyes that follow from behind closed curtains, thoughts kept deep within. A shiver in the knowing that my cover has become too thin. It seems I've lost my vision since the autumn sky is much less clear. I miss you in the morning when the coil of night won't wear away sweet summer lost. But even in Koshitsa I must face the day.